Hey, I'm Debbie Tannenbaum. I am an elementary school EdTech coach in Fairfax County, Virginia. And then in addition to all of that, I am really lucky to be here today as one of the featured presenters. I'm super excited about that. And I get the opportunity through my, side hustle, Tannenbaum Tech, to really share things I'm passionate about that come from my work as an elementary school tech coach. So I get to share about my work for littles. I get to talk about how we can integrate technology meaningfully into math. Today we're going to talk about thinking routines in tech and even empowering student voice in UDL. So those are just some of the things that I really talk about. In addition, I have a blog that I've been doing since 2019, Tannenbaum Tech. And then in 2021, my book, Transform Techie Notes to Make Learning Sticky, was published, which is kind of was my big passion project. And I have gotten a chance to contribute to a couple of other books. But honestly, at the end of the day, my goal is to empower educators to amplify student learning using technology tools. And I am just trying to pick things that I feel like other educators don't get other places. So my goal is not to show you how to make 10,000 ways to do slide decks. That's really valid. I haven't even jumped on that AI wagon totally yet. My goal is to really help educators with what they're dealing with right now in the classroom. How can you use technology in a meaningful way? Not like you did during COVID, but how can you use it to really help our students in today's educational setting?
There's one, I'm going to back up. You said a lot of very interesting and things that you should be very, very proud of.
Thank you.
You do a whole lot. You've got this side hustle, Tannenbaum Tech. You consult.
Yeah.
I mean, in a nutshell, you consult. You do your blog stuff and all that. You are a published author. I accidentally hit it a second time. You are a published author, too.
Yes, I am. I'm really proud of that.
Man. Okay. As you were speaking, when you were talking about Virginia, number one, how was the trip? How was the flight?
It was good.
You didn't get delayed or anything?
We were like 10 minutes late, but after being at school, for most of the day, and then going to the airport and then flying, and it's a long day, but I'm so excited to be here today that nothing can damper that excitement.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Absolutely, I feel the same way as well. So I'm very curious. It is October 28th. What does October 28th or October look like in Virginia?
October in Virginia, we started it off with testing, and we're ending it with testing. So our second graders were taking the CAGAT test, which apparently had some issues this year. It always has issues.
Never, right?
That's actually what I did yesterday morning, is help with testing. But we also have our state Virginia test, which is called the Virginia Growth Assessment. They take it 2 times a year, and then they take the state test.
Okay.
But in addition to that, I've been trying to do a lot of work this year doing coaching cycles with my teachers. It's something I'm really passionate about. The research shows that doing PD before or after school is not really an effective way to make change. So I've really been working with teachers in my school. I have about 6 teachers who I'm working with currently. And we're doing a 6-week cycle where we're picking a focus and then we're working on it. And it has been so exciting to see. Everybody gets to choose what they're interested in, but it's been so exciting to see what they're interested in and see the progress they've made when I can give them that time to meet with them once a week, even maybe get into a classroom or two, and teach with them and see the power in that. And it's not overwhelming for them. It doesn't feel like something else to do. And these are all teachers who are choosing to do this based on the relationships we established last year.
Okay. I want to stick on this coaching topic.
Okay.
Because one of the hot buttons, at least that I had when I started the coaching process in our district, was the term coaching.
All right.
So I was very reluctant and hesitant to use the word coaching with teachers because coaching is synonymous with something that's done to you. That means that you are doing something incorrect. Your football coach is going to coach you on doing this drill correctly because maybe you're not coming off the line in the way you're supposed to, so you're going to get coached on that. And it's like I said, it's something that's typically done to you. How have you taken that approach with teachers, and do you call it a formal coaching cycle? Do you tell them from the get-go, hey, let's start a coaching cycle, we'll start with writing a goal kind of thing? So what is your process?
Basically what I've been doing, and I recently got the Virginia coaching certification, and I'm working on my Google one, and I kind of do a hybrid of that. So we start off and we just talk about what's going on in their classroom, and if there's something that they feel like would help them in their classroom. It's not about what you did wrong, but it's about what could you do a little bit differently. It's just, I always talk a lot about, what's on your plate.
Yeah.
Using that whole food analogy. Well,
no pun intended with me, right?
Exactly. But like, what is going on in your classroom? Is there something that you're doing that you feel like doesn't serve all of your students in the way that you need to? And for some teachers, it's, we have a new assessment program. I don't know how to use it, and I know I need to learn how to use it. And then with other teachers, it's like, well, last year you came in and you used this program with my kids, and I noticed it was really engaging them and it provided differentiation, but I don't know how to do that. Can you help me learn how to do that? And so it just depends on what the teachers need. And like I said, I'm doing 6 of them right now and getting ready to start my second round. And they're all different. They all have picked something that they feel like is a need that they want to improve in. And it's not because they're not doing things right. It's because they want to do things better. And I think that's a really small nuance that you have to kind of think about. Because even like as I'm trying to improve my practice, I'm not saying, well, I'm not doing all these things great, but how can I do them just a little bit better to really help my students and help our school reach those new gains? And this year in our school, we're spending a lot of time talking about discourse.
Academic discourse in the classroom?
Yeah, so I've really been talking about, well, some of our kids aren't comfortable doing that discourse face-to-face. Well, how can maybe we use technology tools for that? How can we provide them sharing their thoughts in ways other than just a turn and talk, but still getting them to do some of that? And so really, for me, last year I just went in like once a month and did a co-teaching with them, which basically was me coming in and modeling. But this year, with the increased relationships I have with teachers, now they trust me to come in and work with them. And it's been amazing because not only are they doing this, but I work with like one teacher in each team at a time. So they're going to be bringing it to their team all year long, even if I'm only with them for 6 weeks.
Yeah. That kind of leads to my next question when you said the 6 weeks. A typical coaching cycle, if I'm a teacher at your campus, what does a typical coaching cycle period look like if it's something that might be tool related?
So what we really try to do is I always start off with that, we meet and we determine what that goal is. And we really try to figure out how it's going to look as far as, am I going to meet with this teacher once a week? I've been really trying to get into classrooms and do some co-teaching with teachers, but it's been really tough with testing. I've gotten into one classroom this year, but it was an amazing lesson. And so we're trying to figure that out. Now slowly, because testing is over for now, in air quotes, I'm starting to get into more classrooms. But for some of my teachers, it's like, okay, we've planned this, you're going to do this, then we're going to come back and we're going to debrief, and then we're going to decide, well, what's the next thing we want to work on with this? But really looking at what teachers are doing right now, how can I help them right now? How can I help their team? So for example, one of my kindergarten teachers, who I'm so proud of, she's teaching about pumpkins right now. So one of the tools I absolutely love is called Wixie because it promotes student voice and it really builds agency.
Wixie?
Wixie. It's by a company called Tech for Learning.
Okay, all right. And they are in no way sponsoring this episode.
No, they are not. But
but if they're interested, reach out.
But so I'm going to talk about them in my first session today.
Okay.
Well, she created, we found a pumpkin life cycle, and then she was like, well, what else? We were talking about what else can we do? Well, wouldn't it be cool if the kids could add their video in the middle of that cycle and explain as they put all those things there? And then as we were talking, she's like, but I have some kids who are going to finish this too fast. And I was like, well, what about if we add a choice board? And so we've been working on choice boards. And so I'm leading her, she's putting it all together. We created a choice board for the early finishers to do. But we've continued to work on this. So now at this point, 6 weeks in, because she's towards the end of it, she knows how to do these things, and I'm just there supporting her. And she's like, but the video's new for me. And I was like, well, do you want me to come in? And so on Halloween, I'm coming in, or October 31st, I'm coming in and we're going to do that lesson together. And, this was a teacher who last year did not want me in her room. And we started very, very, very small. And I am so proud of her because she's just done
leaps and bounds.
Leaps and bounds. I'm so proud of her. And so that's kind of how we're working this. And so it looks different depending on every person. And when I start, people are like, well, what is this? And I'm like, this is what you make it. I am here to help you. I am here to help you figure out new ways. So don't, I spent a lot of time with Wixie with my teachers last year because I think it's an easy entry for elementary. Well, one of my teachers was like, well, you did a lot with math for me last year, but I don't know how to use this tool at all for reading or social studies. And we worked together, and she created all these great interactive sorts. This is a first grade teacher. And now she's sharing them with her team. So instead of it always coming from me, now it's coming from somebody who's part of their team as well. And then she's able to share that, and then everybody in that team benefits.
I like to use the analogy of when it comes from another teacher, they have the quote-unquote street cred that sometimes we don't.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think is so important, and I go back and forth. Being in the schools and trying to do some of this stuff can be a lot, but I really think it's important for me. Everything I share with teachers, I've tried. I've done with students. I've done with teachers. So like today I'm even sharing stuff brand new stuff because one of the programs I share about just released some new things. And I'm so excited to be able to share something brand new that I haven't gotten a chance to share before because I want to keep on top of these things. Teachers don't have time to keep on top of these things.
No,
it's my job to help them so that they can do those things. And the kids I watch the students, and engagement is increasingly an issue in our schools right now. And to give kids things that are meaningful that they can really engage in and that amplify the learning is so important. We can't give kids worksheets anymore and think that we're doing our job.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000%. I've got a couple of questions, but I'm going to really quickly, I apologize. You are officially on the EdTech Bites podcast.
Ooh.
I had to bring some treats for you.
Oh, yum.
So,
thank you.
Absolutely. I should have started with that, and I apologize.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's early in the morning.
It's okay.
It's Saturday.
It is a Saturday.
What a better day for a donut, right?
Absolutely.
Or
and I worked out
hole.
this morning, so I'm all set to go.
There you go. So you joined me on my first, that is a night walking by right now. A straight up night.
It is a night.
Yeah. It's a Halloween theme at the conference. That is, I'm sorry. That's just
it's okay.
My ADHD kicked in when I saw something shiny. You joined me on the first food tour that I ever did last. It was like the beginning of February at TCCA.
It was before San Antonio became cold.
Literally like the day before.
Yeah, it was so beautiful that night.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And I couldn't go in Philly because I was in a boot. I broke my foot.
That's right. But you were lined up to go. And then I remember you were DMing me, everything okay?
Oh my God, I'm so good. Like, I'm running again. I'm in great, I've even lost some weight in the process. You
look great.
Thank you.
You do look great. But yeah, we missed you in that Philadelphia one, but no fear, Debbie, because I've got FETC, TCCA, and ISTE already lined up, ready to go.
I won't be at FETC, but I will be at TCCA, and I will be at ISTE.
Okay, all right. I'm going to start working out too, and hopefully I don't mess up any of my appendages in that process.
Well,
but
I fell on a wet curb at Kiss and Ride. It was not from working out. It was from a wet curb that snuck up on me, and I'm convinced that with the extra weight I was carrying, that's what broke my foot.
Sometimes things are a blessing in disguise, right?
Oh, 100%. And this was absolutely a blessing in disguise because it made me take my health more seriously.
Yeah. Yes, I will. I'll stop there with that because we can go a long time.
Yes,
with
we
that.
could.
But the other thing I wanted to ask you as far as coaching is what does Debbie do when a teacher kind of ghosts you, and then you start chasing them, and then you start realizing that you at times it might feel a little creepy, IMing them, emailing them, or kind of looking at their calendar or their lesson plans or what have you. What do you do in a situation where you have something going? Maybe you wrote a goal, and goal writing is a whole episode on its own. That could be extremely difficult and time consuming. But you finally get on the same page. You establish a goal. Maybe you get some baseline data, and then 2 weeks go by and stuff happens, or they just are like, it seems like a lot of work.
Well, I find that at least with the teachers that I'm working with this year, all of the coaching cycles that I'm doing are voluntary. Teachers do not have to do them. And so the teachers who are doing them because they've bought into either me or they've bought into the learning. And so I'll be honest, we have a lot of teachers who've gotten sick this year.
Yeah.
And so I have a teacher who I know she still wants to work with me, but because she's been out sick, she just doesn't have the capacity right now. And something that's real, that's human. And she'll say to me, I know you emailed me, keep bugging me. And then I have teachers who really don't want to engage in the work. And I always think about the innovation curve and how right now I'm really hitting those early adopters and that early majority. And you're not going to hit all of those teachers. But those teachers who are like that, they're listening to the teachers who I'm working with in their CLTs. They're seeing the things those teachers are doing, and they might not believe me, like you said, with the street cred, but they're listening.
Yeah.
And not to mention that the kids are like, well, why is so-and-so's class? And you can use those students to really help you as well. I'll never forget, I was outside of a first grade classroom last year going into one of the rooms, and the other kids are like, well, how come you don't come to our room? I'm like, well, I'd be happy to come to your room. Your teacher just has to ask me to come.
Never been invited. Never been invited.
And one of the things last year, I came in and I did lessons for teachers. This year, I've said to teachers, the goal is I'm teaching you how to fish. So I'm not going to come in and teach a lesson for you. We're going to work together, we're going to meet, we're going to establish those goals, and if you want me to model for you after that, that's fine, but it's not going to be me coming in and teaching while you grade papers.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And some teachers are like, well then I'm not really interested right now, but it's okay. We build capacity a little bit at a time, and when I first started doing this last year, one teacher let me in her room. Now I have 6 teachers I'm working with, plus 3 more who are about ready to get on deck. And I purposely made the coaching cycle short because I want to make sure that if I need to, I can fit more people in. But I know, like, with that kindergarten teacher, she wants to continue and nobody else on her team is ready. Well, that's fine. We can do a second cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah.
And it's funny you said that because about the students, so why don't you come to our room? Or to me, I think sometimes the most impactful thing that a teacher who does not want to participate in a coaching cycle, doesn't want to work with you, when they see a social media post or something that another class did,
right,
or they get that parent email or phone call, or they just hear on the streets that, well, my kid didn't get a chance to do that.
Right, absolutely.
That a lot of times is the kick in the back.
And I've definitely found that. And this year, being the social media manager for my school, I have the ability when I go in to do a lesson to make sure that I send it out on Facebook and Instagram, so it's getting out into the community. And I'm trying to get other teachers to send me things as well. It's a slow process.
Yeah.
But we have to tell our school story, and so just continuing to work on that, because the narrative on public education right now is not necessarily a positive one, and we have to change that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, the days of the after school, before school PD, some of them are still valuable, and, it all depends on the follow-up. But coaching, you're really taking that professional development into the classroom.
Absolutely. And then once I've done something with them, then we meet the next week and we follow up on it. So it's not just we're doing it once and done, which I know for a lot of PD ends up that way. But one of the things
done.
I'm really proud of for my school is this is the second year we're doing personalized learning plans. And so teachers are going to, last year and they did it, and this year they'll be able to do it. They're going to pick a focus that they want to work on all year. And then the PD opportunities we'll offer as our resource team, our leadership team, are going to focus on those things. So like last year, I had teachers who wanted to work on, using Schoology, how to use Schoology to better engage their students, how to use Wixie, how to do all these different things. And this year I'm going to get the opportunity to do that again, making sure that discourse is in the background since it's one of our school focuses. So
that's a big thing in our school district right now, especially at our title campuses, is the lack of academic discourse being used in the classroom.
And people and it's not just about a turn and talk. We've spent a lot of time talking about this, is that we need to make sure we're giving, we have our school's 25% multilingual learners, 40% language minority. we need to give our kids time to rehearse those things. We need to give them that opportunity. We can't learn silently. And so we've really been working on that both in math and in reading. Whether we're doing an interactive read aloud or we're doing a math test, to really promote those things with our students, because that's what they need. It's not about, okay, can you write an essay? ChatGPT can do that for you, but we need to help kids think, synthesize, and really do those, what we're still calling 21st century skills, which is ridiculous.
I'm glad you said that. I've thought about that a couple of times, but I'm glad you said it, because it reminded me that jargon is pretty much done. Yeah.
It's, I just think about, a while, like even 10, 15 years ago, how people are like, you can't teach things you can Google, but we're still doing a lot of that. And, it shouldn't be about something that you can use AI to do. We need to get them actually doing those things. And I feel like post-COVID, it's even more important, because our kids are disengaged. We see more self-regulation, issues in our classroom. We need to give them a hook, and we need to make it relevant to them, because right now a lot of what they're doing isn't relevant, and what gets measured gets done. Well, what we're measuring is not necessarily those things.
Yes. I'll never forget a coaching cycle I was going through with the teacher, and it came time for the model / co-teach.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a co-teach.
It was
Ended up being a model teach,
Right.
which I'm completely fine with. But what got me was the teacher, as I was getting ready to unpack the lesson and do that in front of the class, he turned to me, kind of came up to me in the front and said, "Hey, I'm going to go over to the Circle K across the street. You want me to get you anything?"
I hate that.
I'm going to stop there, because I can go on and on.
No,
for
and
this,
I get it.
But that goes to the testament that you were talking about, where the co-teach, the model teach is not, I'm going to get up, I'm going to teach while you grade your papers.
And sometimes it's being patient. In my old school, I had a teacher who would clean her bookcase while I would come in and do these lessons. And I didn't think she was listening, but she was, because during COVID, she started using all those things that she had been hearing while I was in her classroom. And then one day we were doing a concurrent meeting, and she was telling her team how to do it. And I was like, wow. And she goes, you thought I wasn't listening. I was. Ah. So you just never know. Now, that doesn't mean I want them going across the street.
No.
But you never know that someone's listening, even if it doesn't seem like it. I always try to assume that positive intent. And I know teachers need to go use the restroom. I was a classroom teacher for almost 20 years, so I get that. But, there's powerful learning that happens there. But one of the things I learned last year from working with that one kindergarten teacher is that some teachers aren't ready for that to be their first step. I started last year meeting with her and her colleague every other week after school for a half an hour. But now she's ready for that step. And so it really made me think about, well, where am I asking my teachers to start with me? Because just like we wouldn't want our students to have a one-size-fit-all, that doesn't mean co-teaching is the right place for all of my teachers to start. And it was a really big aha for me.
And as a coach, we do a lot of learning in the process of a coaching cycle.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. That's so. Any teachers that might be listening to this, or maybe watching a video clip on social media, the term coaching does not necessarily mean that there's something wrong with your practice. We have life coaches, we have health coaches. There's coaches for almost every aspect of life for us to improve. However, in education, that term tends to have this stigma of something is wrong with me.
Right.
And that's not the case. We're here to help you be better, because no matter how great we are, there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely.
Always room for improvement.
And I think not just as an educator, but I have
in life.
I have 4 kids as well, and I've really been trying to model for that as well. We all are improving. Just because it looks like somebody has something down doesn't mean that they always have. And so I've learned so much by embracing the fact that I can learn from others, and that's one of the reasons I love coming to conferences like this. Granted, today I'm mostly presenting, but I'm still going to learn as people are talking in my sessions, is because we don't get enough opportunities for us to learn and grow, where we're not either having to make sub plans, find a sub, or put out a ton of cash in order to help us do this. And that's one of the reasons that this conference is amazing. Everyone who comes here, it's free.
And what more do you, and you get a free lunch.
Yeah. I mean,
what more do you want?
And there's vendors here, and you don't have to do any of that worrying about, well, what is going to happen to my class? And I really I know I'm not from Texas, but I see more of that happening in Texas than I see it happening in other places. And sometimes just the cost to go to a conference can be cost prohibitive, and it makes me so sad that people who want to learn feel like they can't learn because they can't afford it.
Correct. Yeah, money should not be the deciding factor when it comes to school improvement.
And maybe your school has funds. I'm in a school that's not Title I, but it's pretty close. So we don't have Title I funding. So, just thinking about making sure that everybody has access to these things. That's one of the reasons that I blog. And, maybe at some point I'll do some podcasting. We'll see. But I want to make it accessible to anyone who wants to get to it, because I've learned from so many people. And because of learning from those people, now I'm able to do things I could have never imagined 5 years ago. If you had told me 5 years ago I'd be doing any of this, I would have said you were crazy. But I am, and I can, and who knows what the next 5 years will bring. So.
And it was all because you had that growth mindset and you were able to learn. Absolutely,
and also having somebody who believed in me. My husband has really been a great advocate for me. Second time around, I was able, he saw something in me that I didn't see in me, and that's kind of what I try to do with educators, see something in them that maybe they don't see in themselves, and really give them that, that person who's there to back you up, and it might not be beautiful at first. It might not be perfect, but that's okay, because that's life.
Yeah, absolutely. How can people connect with you?
So I'm pretty much Tannenbaum Tech everywhere. So my website is Tannenbaum Tech. I'm on, I hate saying X. I'm on Twitter.
I know. Don't even.
Okay. Yeah. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I have a Facebook page for Tannenbaum Tech. And then in addition to all of those things, you can always email me at Debbie@Tannenbaum Tech. But, my goal is, like I said, I want to help educators, especially my educators in the elementary setting who I feel like are grossly ignored. And it's something I've been really pushing, especially with ISTE and some other organizations. If we want our kids to be literate digital citizens when they grow up, it has to start in pre-K, kindergarten. We can't wait till they're in middle school to start giving them those skills. It's too late.
Absolutely.
And so, that's one of the reasons that I'm in the elementary setting, is because we need people there. And we don't need people there to say, oh, go noodle. We need people there to actually have our kids doing that work that they need to do so that they can become digital learners. Because the old way of learning is not going to be the way that they're going to be learning in the future.
Well, Debbie, I know you've got 5 sessions?
5 sessions.
So we're going to cut this conversation, but I want to thank you for everything that you are doing in our educational space, everything you're doing for our educators, what you're doing that trickles down to the student level, and everything that you're contributing to our space, because like you said, especially our elementary teachers, they're kind of off to the side right now with, we tend to think they're fine. They get good scores. We're good. We don't need to walk into their classroom. Teachers need to grow. Kids need to grow. And,
I think that right now, at least in what I'm seeing, we need to engage our students more. There is no student who goes, yay, I'm doing a worksheet today. They're not saying that, but yet if I can, I was working using a program called Gizmos, and my students were looking at a simulation and trying to figure out what environmental conditions were needed so that they could catch the most fish. Well, every kid was involved in that because they wanted to figure it out. It's that, and it's authentic. Versus, let's do a worksheet.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I wish you luck on all your sessions. I wish I could go to sessions, but this year I'm here basically all day.
Yeah.
And safe travels if I don't catch up with you.
And thank you so much for having me. It's so great to get that chance to sit down and actually talk in person.
In person, right?
Yeah.
And you get some donuts.
Absolutely, you can't lose there.
Well, thank you so much.